Good morning, everyone. Hopefully, my computer is working this week. It seems like it is. Um, I did some changes to fix it, and fingers crossed. Hopefully everything works this week. Last week was just chaotic, but let's get it rolling over here on Instagram. Let me know if you can hear me, see me. All of that is working well. I have no way to monitor how I'm streaming. Let me actually flip this. How I'm streaming currently, I have no way to monitor the stream health, which sucks. So let me know if you can hear me, see me, all that fun stuff. And if you can't hear me, hopefully you can still know to let me know. But yeah, we're rolling. Things are happening. Let me get going here on Instagram as well. Good morning, Instagram. We're now live on YouTube. We're live on Instagram. Everything should be working. Hopefully. As far as I can tell, everything's working. But you never really know until people start saying, "Hey, you're lagging. You suck." But while we wait for some people to roll in here, um, we are going to go over some disc releases we've got going on this week. We're going to give you some update on what's going on with the storefront that we are in the process of moving into, um, and all that fun stuff, and then answer some questions. And then I actually have to get over there because we're moving all day. It's a fun day. It's a fun day. I'll give you more update on that here in a second. But this week is a busy week at the store. Online store that is got quite a bit of stuff dropping. First off, the Discraft Tour Series should be going up um, hopefully today, possibly tomorrow. The full Discraft Tour Series, everything that's left, which also means that your pre-orders will be going out. We got some DMs about that. So the pre-orders will be going out, and the Discraft Tour Series will be going live on the site here hopefully today, maybe tomorrow. We also are going to have the S-Line CD1s are going to be dropping this week. Also, this Friday is the official release date of the Eclipse Crave, the Total Eclipse Pitch, and the Special Edition Eclipse Crave. So that stuff's all exciting. That's dropping this Saturday or Friday. Sorry, this Friday, 5 p.m. We also got in our hands the Tone Salts from Clash. So those will be releasing sometime this week. We also will, for the first time in a while, have a trilogy restock. I believe this is also the week that the Strive, if I'm not mistaken, releases. I think it's a distance driver from part of their Royal line. I think we have a lot of Royal line stuff coming in, which has been very popular. So excited about that. And we also might be getting our hands on the brand new inner cores, which are the inner cores that were made on Trash Panda's new machine, which would be really exciting. So hopefully we get all of that in. But that's kind of the releases for this week. Now that people have rolled in on YouTube, again, on YouTube, I see people commenting and no one's saying that you can't hear me or see me, which means I think everything's going good. But if it sucks, let me know, because I think I fixed the problems from last week, but you never know with YouTube. Live streaming never goes to plan. But all right, let's focus on the shop. So this week, we are officially moving in. So I've got the keys in hand. We actually started sound treating the space a little bit yesterday, picking up the U-Haul as soon as I get off of this today, and then all day tomorrow, or all day today, all day tomorrow, we're moving the media side in. So super excited about that. This is actually part of, someone just said, gonna miss us at College Nationals. That's part of why we're not going to be at College Nationals. We were working with them and we were trying to figure out how to make it all work. And what was going to kind of line up was like, well, we can be there early in the week, film some at Winthrop, film some at Camp Canaan, and then like see everyone at College Nationals. But it happened to line up perfectly with us getting the keys and being able to move into our new space, and it just didn't quite make sense. My wife and I have actually talked about, we might drive down this weekend just to watch it, because we love watching disc golf, love watching college disc golf, and it's only like 3 hours away. So no promises, but my wife and I might just make a random appearance on like Saturday just to kind of watch it, because yeah, I love watching nationals, especially half of the Liberty team is our employees. So if they're in contention, then even a better chance that we're going to be down there. But no promises there. But the shop opening, so we're moving the media side in this week. Then next week, if you live close to Lynchburg, the retail store side is shutting down next week. So Monday through Friday, next week, the old location shutting down as we move to the new location. So April 12th is when the new location will have its grand opening, which we're super, super, super excited about. The official plan for that is we're going to have a like Bogey Bros versus the Nation event, kind of a closer to true um, champ versus chump. Like we've done Foundation versus the Nation, which is a take on that. This will be just Trevor and I. So Bogey Bros versus the Nation event. The registration for that will go up this week. Um, that'll be at 12 p.m. on Friday. And then on 5 p.m. that Friday, the grand opening of the in-person store will happen. The first 100 people in the store will get a commemorative card for free, commemorative Brixton card of the OG storefront location. So we're super excited about that. I think that's a really cool, just memorabilia piece. We'll all be there in store when the grand opening happens. There's going to be sales. Pretty much the entire store will be on sale. And we'll have, for the first time ever, some Foundation Lynchburg stamped stuff. We hopefully will also have some Foundation Lynchburg stamp like merch. But first time we'll have it on Discraft discs. I think we'll also have an employee designed stamp that I think is pretty cool. Will also be in store. So there'll be some exclusive stamps that you can get that weekend. I'm going to take some of the discs you see on this collectible shelf behind me and put it in the used bin for like $5. And the sales will go on all weekend. So super excited for that. If you're in the area. Oh, also we've partnered with my brother's coffee shop, Kinship. So everyone who shows up while supplies last will actually get a free drink from Kinship, which is next door to our new location. So you'll be able to try this coffee I'm always talking about too, if you stop by. So just for stopping in, you get a free drink. You also, can get a free card if you're one of the first 100 people. Shop some sales and check out the new store. We're super, 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 super excited about it. I can't believe it's actually here. So again, that's next week. This week we're moving in. There's going to be a vlog posted on the YouTube channel if you're watching on Instagram, but on this YouTube channel, I'll probably do two vlogs. I'll probably have vlog one be moving in the media side, and then vlog two will be the retail store side. So those will be dropping over the next 2 weeks. So if you want to, see the behind the scenes action from that, and there'll be even more behind the scenes stuff that we go more in depth with on our Patreon. As always, our Patreon always gets behind the scenes stuff. So we'll probably get some Lynn's stuff going today. So if you're not a part of Patreon, patreon.com/foundation disc golf is a good spot to do that. But if you just want the generic behind the scenes, we'll have a vlog going up for free as well. So Sean asked a great question. I want to pause the answer super fast of how does it affect the online store? It won't. So our online store is ran out of a warehouse about like 10 minutes up the road. And that is not moving. Nothing's going on with that. So if you're shopping with us online, you won't notice a difference. It won't go down, nothing like that. We're just pulling the inventory from the retail store, redoing the inventory just because the system, we want to have a better system in place. We kind of just grew into the store we have now. And now that we've been running it for 2 years, we know a lot better what to do with the retail store. So we're going to start from scratch and implement a better system, but that won't affect the online store at all. But that's why we're closing. That's why we're closing for the whole week, is so that we can get the inventory down, set it back up, and so we can make sure that the storefront is exactly the way we want it when we do the grand opening. Oh, actually, Jason just said a couple behind the scenes photo will hit Patreon lunch today. So again, patreon.com/foundation disc golf if you want like in-depth real time behind the scenes. But if you aren't able to support us, no worries at all. Totally understand. We'll have a generic behind the scenes dropping on my YouTube channel with just like the vlogs of what's going on there. So I took some of y'all's idea. Funny enough, I just took it on a Amex envelope when I had this live stream like 2 weeks ago. And so some of it is actually happening when we open. Hopefully when we open, I don't know if we'll have it done in time. We're going to have, one of y'all suggested a leaderboard of like, because people come in all the time and want to go play the local courses. And so being able to have like, this is what the foundation course record is. Whether it be employees or like Trevor or I or Connor or Brad or whoever, like this is what the foundation course record is. So you can like come in, see it at the course you're trying to go to, and then go try to beat it. So we're going to have like a leaderboard on the wall. I think that's going to be really cool. We're definitely going to have more focused custom stuff in store, especially with the new space and with Worlds coming. We're going to have a more focus on like store specifics. That's why for the first time, like I said, we're going to have Foundation Lynchburg bar stamp stuff when this store reopens. And that'll just kind of be a regular thing that we just keep on the shelves. You'll only be able to get it in store because, again, when we opened the store originally, we had no idea how many of you were going to travel in. I mean, yesterday, I personally opened the store because, like, again, half of our employees are at Nationals. So I opened the store for like 30 minutes and it was like the busiest 30 minutes of all time. I don't know what happened. I don't know if I just haven't worked the store in a while. Well, I know I haven't worked the store in a while, but I mean, it was just person after person after person. But I think 2 of the people that came in were from out of the area and were just passing through and were just stoked to come in. Like that's a regular thing. It just still blows my mind, but it's awesome so that when people come in right now, they take a picture of the like trophy shelf, which we're going to make sure we still have that in there. And like stuff like that to like say I'm here, but it's gonna be way cooler if like you could get a disc that says, the Foundation Lynchburg or a patch that says the Lynchburg store or something. So then you can get one here. You can get one if you go down to Charleston. If we open a future location somewhere else, then you can kind of get stuff to show like you actually were there. I don't know. It's just it never crossed my mind that that's stuff people would want, but now it makes perfect sense. Another thing people said that we're going to try to do is to partner with like the local parks and recs to sell like course stamp discs and then have like part of the proceeds go towards enhancing those courses, which will be awesome. So like we'll say New London, for instance, if we had like some type of New London stamp disc, then if you're coming from out of town and you were coming to play that course, you could pick that up and then in the process also be giving money towards enhancing whatever the course may need. um so that was one of y'all's ideas that we're not going to be able to implement in time for the grand opening, but it's definitely like front of our mind as we're planning stuff out for this summer and everything. So, and with that too, I stayed up late watching the Duke game on Friday night when we beat Houston. We won't talk about the secondary Duke game where we lost to the Wolfpack. Um, May it rest in peace. But stayed up late for that Duke game, and so Luca had been asleep for hours. Liz was going to bed, so it basically just left me with free time at night, which is when I used to back in the day do most of my like online like e-commerce design research, if that makes sense. And so I just like had some free time where I was watching the game before the Duke game, and I was like, you know what? It's been a while since I've like dove deep and just looked at our site from a designer point of view and just put on like a fresh set of eyes and looked at it. And I noticed a few things that I'm gonna try to fix. I haven't. This isn't really based on feedback. It's just based on I saw it and I was like, why don't we do things this way? Which one thing is trying to answer more questions on the product pages, especially of our like frequently shopped products. Because like right now, if you go, we have a description of like how the disc flies, we have the flight numbers, but that's about it. So if I'm a newer player and I don't know what Z plastic is or ESP plastic, I think having that's one of my things is I want to have a menu where like you have the description of the disc, then the next thing over it has like all of the different plastics that disc comes in and like a description of those. And then maybe the next one has like a generic profile of the disc that'll explain it a bit more. Just answer more questions so that people who like if you're going to the shop, like if you're going online, I remember back in the day, I used to go all the time to whatever website I wanted to shop from, and I would just browse. I wasn't looking for anything specific. I was just like, I didn't know what I wanted. I was just kind of going. I wanted as much information about this as possible. Whereas like our site right now doesn't provide that. So I want to fix that. I'm gonna do it hopefully later this week. I'll have time. Early next week. I have a rough idea of what I want to do for the user experience on the back end there. And so I think I'll be able to do it pretty easily. But once I implement it for one, I'll probably put a tweet out, or actually, honestly, I'll just test it with our patrons. I'll put a post up on Patreon and be like, hey, this is what I'm thinking for a new product page design. Go use it, abuse it. What do you think of it? And then if it goes well and people like it, or whatever tweaks need to be made, then I'll start rolling it out. But it's going to be a several month rollout to all the products because, I mean, we got so many products, but yeah, so we're excited. I'm excited about that. I had a lot of creative juices flowing, so I was very excited to bring some new life to the website. So that'll be coming soon. I'm also going to build out a page, similar reasoning for the monthly subscription boxes because that's a huge thing for us. right now, and there's not a ton of information on the site. We talk about it a lot, but if you just went to the site, just stumbled on it, there's not a ton of information there right now. Um, and so like we have, if you go to our site and you scroll all the way down, you can find a link to our text deals. And the text deals page is built out where it answers all the questions you might have. I'm gonna do the exact same thing for the monthly subscription box. Don't know why I never did that before. So then when you're on the home page, you'll hit learn more on the monthly subscription box. It'll take you to a page that explains in detail what it is. So then all of the questions you might have are answered. Which will hopefully reduce some of the customer service, because I know like some people, it's if you have a question about something and you have to send an email, that might already stop you right there of like, yeah, I don't care that much. But then also you send an email, and then if you send it at 6 p.m. at night, it's not going to get answered till like 8 the next morning, and then it gets answered and now it's already been like 12, 13 hours. You might not care nearly as much anymore, versus if I'm able to just answer those questions right away on the site, then you can just go on while you're interested, you're intrigued, read, answer all the questions you may have, and then make an informed decision of like, this is what I'm looking for, or no, this isn't for me. um don't know why I never thought of it before, but I just was thinking about it the other day while I was watching the Duke game. And so both of those kind of slight redesigns to the site, I'm happy overall with how our site design works and is, but those two I think will really help push the user experience to the next level. And like I said, once those are kind of built out, then I'll get first feedback from the Patreon, second feedback, honestly, probably from y'all. And then I'll just put my head down and grind it out to try to get the whole website redone. So, um, super excited about all of that. And the final thing that got me really excited was, for the first time in a long time, you can see I have a lot of plastic behind me. Obviously, I also have access to thousands of discs at the warehouse, and I feel discs, every type of plastic on a regular basis. So not it takes a lot for a disc golf plastic to get me excited, like a kid in a candy store excited. That happened with the Discraft Tour Series plastic, which made me start to think like, I feel like a lot of disc golf obviously had an explosion during the COVID year, right? So 2020, 2021, all of you players who got into disc golf then are now 3, 4 years in. And the, you know, honeymoon phase of plastic is over, right? Like hearing something in a luster metal flake color shift doesn't excite you nearly as much as it did when you're a year in. Same thing with like a crystal metallic swirl or something. It just doesn't have the same excitement. But when you see something like the Z Flex Jawbreaker, where it is something that you haven't seen before, like, I don't know, I felt like a kid in a candy store. It made me wonder, to kind of get into the question and answer segment, what gets you excited? What do you hear, or what, if it hasn't happened yet, that you would see and be like, there we go. Now I'm stoked. Now I'm excited. Um, what is it for you? What does it for you? For me, it was the Z Flex Jawbreaker. I hadn't seen anything like that before. But all right, I saw some questions coming in as y'all are answering that one. People were asking about college nationals again. Not planning to be there in an official capacity. I might come down as a fan this weekend. Um, might come down as a fan. Best of luck to the Biggie Five headed to college nationals. Tear it up. I think got a lot of college disc golf people in here. Good luck to all of you. Hopefully, I'm selfishly, I'm rooting for Liberty alum. Also, again, got a lot of Liberty disc golf players that work for us. Also made a bet with Clayton that if we didn't sell the Zuka cart by the start of nationals, it was his, as long as he promised to use it at nationals. And I came in on Monday and the Zuka cart was gone. So I think he's going to be rocking the Zuka cart down there, which is exciting. Um, Limited runs are fun. That's a good thing. Fall in love with a new mold, Joey said. For example, the Passion. That's a great example. The Passion's been phenomenal. Yeah, that someone, Eric said the Clash Tone. The Clash Tone was a similar vibe where I think what it is for me is when it's something I haven't seen before, which is very hard in disc golf the way stuff currently works. But like the tone, for instance, the undermold, and like you can see the word tone like through it on the salt. Um, Really cool. And also the flight of it is different. That's a big thing too. Obviously, you have to get it and throw it to feel that part, but like you can tell it like stays in the air a little bit more, it pushes a little bit more. Like I like that, the pushing like evolution side of it, where you're pushing it forward. Let me see if there's any other questions. Does Michigan or Michigan State have a collegiate team? I think they both do. I know Michigan does. Actually, I know Michigan State does because we played Ohio State last year in a bogey row battle, and Trevor and I wore Michigan gear and to battle Ohio State, and we got to hole 18, and Michigan State was getting like down by the water at the tee. So like we're up here, they're down here, and we were facing kind of this way, and they yelled something about just like Bogey Bros or Foundation Nation or whatever. And I turned around and saw it was Michigan State. And so I started flashing the Michigan logo on my shirt, and they all started flicking us off. And it was like the most hysterical moment. We didn't get it on camera because that would have just been, oh, that would have been great. But it was hilarious. So Michigan State does have a team. Michigan, I don't know, actually. Yeah, I think they do. The cicada is shockingly amazing. Finally got a hold of one. Yeah, the cicada is great. The cicada is phenomenal. Oh, ZW said, just wanted to shout out the text deals again. They freaking rock. Yeah, we've been trying really hard with the text deals. They've been going good. We ran into a little bit of a hiccup with last week's deal. It's a hard balance to find like what we're still kind of figuring out what people want exactly because I think everyone wants something different with the text deals, which is great. It's getting big enough where it can make sense if not enough people buy it one week or the other. But but because like last week we had a decent bit of pixels and they sold out in like 5 minutes. But then the week before that, I don't remember what the week before was, but it didn't sell super well. This week, which Patreon will get access today, text deal go out tomorrow. Um, I think is a I don't know if I want to spoil it, but it's a cool like foundation stamped disc. Um, so we're still kind of exploring what are people looking for exactly in it, but I love the text deals. It was my brainchild, so I'm more passionate about it than I think everyone at the company, but I love it. I think that I know it's something that I would have got hooked on, because it's just fun. You just get a deal text to your phone. If you like it, you reply, and then boom, you bought it. If you don't, you just lock your phone and it's done. That's it. It's just so simple. So I really enjoy it, and I'm glad ZW. I'm glad you're enjoying it too. Oh, Michael Kern said I was close to guessing his age. That's exciting. Oh, this is a great question. Disc Golf with Sig said, "How much will registration be for the grand opening Bogey Reverse the Nation event?" Glad you asked that. So we always have to charge something just because we want to run registration through our site, just so that there can be a registration process and 100 people don't show up when there's only 70 spots. Um, so we always charge something, but we don't want it to be like we're not trying to make money on the event because we're going to make a video out of it, and then that video will make us money. So we don't want to like charge people an arm and a leg. So what we do every time is it's $5 to secure your spot. What that also does is it secures your spot in the front of the line at the store. If there is a line, there was a long line at the grand opening last year, but we had or not last year, 2 years ago, we had a sick dark horse disc, and it was our first store opening ever. This year, you would secure your spot for the commemorative card. So everyone who registers for the Bogey Bro battle, Bogey Bro versus the Nation, will get their guaranteed their commemorative card. But the other thing it does is 100% of that, all $5 goes straight to the course. Right now, we're hoping to do it at Timbrook. We don't have that locked in yet. But whatever that course needs, that's what the $5 times 72 players is 300 and what is it, 380, 360, something like that. Somewhere in there. All of that money just goes straight to the course. So yeah, that's how we've always done it. Um, and it works out because that way there's some type of fee so that it's locked in registration wise. Um, but that fee just goes to bettering the course because then a lot of local people play it anyways, and it's a great way of just like supporting local disc golf. So that's what it'll be. $5 will be the quote unquote fee, and it'll open with a 3-hole limit. So you can only purchase 3 holes, and then mid next week, if it hasn't filled yet, it'll open where you can buy as many holes as you want. So yeah, okay. Robert Burridge played for Michigan, so Michigan does have a team. Here's a good question from Joel. Joel Edward 12 said, "What's a disc mold and plastic that will always make your bag or always be in your bag?" I get this question a lot because, like I said, I have access to a lot of discs. So I feel a lot of molds, and I put a lot of discs in and out of my bag very regularly. But I personally, for my game, have have never found another disc to replace the Star Destroyer. There's just not one out there. I've tried a lot. I got it banned from my bag. Y'all probably remember last year. It took me, what ended up replacing it towards the end of the year was a beat-in ESP Force. Um, but I think the Force was probably the closest, because like a Scorpius is like a beat up destroyer, a Force is like a really overstable destroyer, but just your stock Star Destroyer, just the hand feel and the flight, I just haven't been able to find a replacement for that. The Shay said the Thunderbird. The Thunderbird is probably the disc I'm most passionate about because I throw it the most. But I've gone through phases where like I can get really confident with a Z Vulture. I can get really confident with a C Line PD. Those can fill that Thunderbird slot, not quite as well, but they're close. I haven't found something close to a Star Destroyer, just flight wise. Similar thing can be said with the C Line MD3. Um, I can find a disc that is close to it, but like typically I'll build my bag on the edges around, but you'll have a Star Destroyer, Thunderbird, and a C Line MD3. And then if I could choose my putter, a PA3 would always be in there. Always, always, always. All right, let's see here. Trying to minimize the number of molds in my bag. My favorite mold is definitely the Buzz. Is there any suggestion? This is a pretty common question because I am an advocate of carrying as few molds in your bag as possible if you want to be good. I don't want to be good. I just want to have fun. Way more fun to carry a lot of molds than it is to mold minimalize. Um, but that's just when I got into the game. That's what all the best players did. So that's kind of swayed my perception of it. And players still, to a certain extent, do this. They don't do it nearly as much as they used to. I think because the best players aren't all on Innova anymore, which is what used to be the case. Um, but my logic behind it and the reason I like the idea of it is you have confidence. Like for me, I just was talking about the Thunderbird, the Destroyer, and the MD3. Those three discs I love. I always feel confident with them. I always feel like I'm going to hit my line. So if I can cycle those where I have a really overstable destroyer, really understable destroyer, and everything in between, and they're all destroyers, I'm going to have that confident hand feel with all of them. Same thing with Thunderbird, same thing with MD3s. The best way to do it is to start with an overstable disc that you can beat into Flippy, because then you can always buy a new one that's overstable and put that in up here. And then as it beats in, you take your flippiest one out and it just keeps moving that way. So if your favorite mold is the Buzz, you can start the Buzz, but you'll have to go on the overstable side. And then the Buzz you can beat in to be the Flippy. But don't waste your energy trying to find an overstable Buzz. That's what everyone and their mom looks for. It's hard to find. It's very hard to find. What I would do is go with the Quake. It's beadless. It's made by DGA, which is in Discraft plastic. It doesn't feel like a Buzz per se, but it has a lot more glide than the Buzz OS in my experience. So it'll get you a lot more distance and have that consistently overstable finish. So I would go Quake and then Buzz all the way down. And when you're first starting, you can start with a Buzz SS to get your more flippy, and then as a Buzz beats in, take the Buzz SS out. That's what I would do. If you're trying to minimize your molds there, because I think people get caught in trying to find an overstable run of a Buzz, and it's like the Buzz just wasn't made to be overstable. Like that's not why it exists. That's why the Buzz OS exists. That's why the Wasp exists. That's not why the Buzz exists. So you're just trying to find a like super rare version of the disc basically. And you can find some runs, Crystal Buzzes are going to be more overstable. I think those Page Pierce Z Swirl Tour Series ones back in the day were a little bit more overstable, but then you're going to be paying a premium. In my opinion, when you're looking for something like that, it's better to just get a stock disc that you can then beat up to get it to be the stability you want versus trying to find a disc that you have to buy a rare one to get to be that stability. So is that a $5 per hole type payment? Yes. So that's a great question, Joel. So there'll be 4 slots available for the Foundation versus the Nation, 4 slots available per hole, and it's $5 per spot. So only like I can only occupy 1 spot on each hole, obviously, because you'll play as a team of 4 against us. So if you wanted to buy 3 holes, it'd be 15 bucks. But again, all of that 100% goes to the course. But yeah, it's $5 to play because you can just buy 1 hole, but you can buy up to 3 to start. Registration for that should go live today or tomorrow. So all of this information will be posted on social. But yeah. Let me try scrolling down and catching up here. Okay, I'm caught up on Instagram. So if you ask a question, I will actually see it real time instead of being way behind. If I missed your question, feel free to re-ask it. Tommy asked, "What's the best feeling plastic in your opinion?" Because this is a very interesting one. Because plastic is so I've discovered. I mean, this is not a shocking statement I'm about to say, but it feels so different to everyone. Like it's so subjective what people want in a plastic. Easiest example is I like softer plastic, not like Elevation Koi soft, but like in a driver, I really like G Star. I like G Star. I like Z Flex. Whereas Trevor doesn't. He doesn't like bendy plastics. I feel like I can really lean into them, get a good grip. That's why I like them versus Trevor doesn't. So that's a really basic example, but that's why, you'll find some people loving Champ plastic like me, and then some people hate Champ plastic. Some people, I love Star plastic. Some people hate Star plastic. To me, ESP is a little bit too slick. Some people, ESP is the greatest plastic on earth. So, and also within that, there's also different runs of plastic. Like sometimes Star plastic comes in and it feels like utter crap. Same thing with ESP. Sometimes it comes in and it feels like the greatest plastic that's ever touched the face of the earth. The best, most consistently good feeling plastic that's come through our warehouse, in my opinion, is the new Royal line stuff. The Royal line, their premium version. I don't know. I forget what their baseline's called. Royal Grand, I think it is. Or the Supreme, like Trespass, those discs. That for me has a really good amount of grip, but it's not too grippy. It's got a little bit of give to it, to where you can lean into it and it just feels premium. There's a premium price tag that comes with it, but it does feel premium. That's my favorite plastic. My favorite more stock plastic would probably be, it's tough because Champ and Star of the current day are not the same as they used to be. Um, I think I would still go with Champ. I think Champ Plastic would be my favorite, just like off the shelf, under $20 stock plastic would probably be Champion Plastic. Um, Joel said, if it's not the new Z Flex Jawbreaker, you're lying. That did feel, it feels good. It looks good. Um, it's just hard because it's not a stock plastic. So I'll put a disc or two in my bag, but I don't like getting caught up or in love with a really rare run, that you're not, because like their Tour Series plastic changes every year. So I don't want to get fall deeply in love with one to where I need to go grab 10 of them because it's going to be in my bag forever. So I have a hard time getting stuck on those. But might have missed it, but how would you suggest how to pick a glidey putting putter? Struggling to find a putter that just glides, nice point and shoot, spin putt. Rule number one: don't get a banger, because you'll be stuck like me. Um, Typically, a more understable putter is going to glide more, even inside the circle. So your deputies, your fierce, the Luna has a lot of glide. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's tough. The judge might be, I think, a spin putt with a judge is like one of the glidiest things on earth. EMAC judges, if you don't like the big bead, a Warden too. But I would kind of go with a little bit understable if you care about glide. I would go that route personally. Will baseline plastic have less skip than premium? To me, the skip is, I feel like skip is more on the stiffness of the disc than the plastic per se. If you go to like a really grippy plastic, then yeah. But at the end of the day, unless you go down to like an elevation disc, and I bet I could even get an elevation disc to skip if I threw it right. A disc with a hard enough rim is just gonna skip. Like we're throwing a disc, it's coming in on an angle on the ground. Like it's not normal unless it's on a spike angle. Like if a disc is coming here, it's going to skip. You know what I mean? Like that's just how it's going to work. Um, so would baseline skip less than premium? Probably yes, but I think it's more so because it would be softer than a premium plastic. If that makes sense. I think I make sense there. It makes sense to me. How do I feel about the Kratos? I actually grabbed a Tour Series Kratos because they feel phenomenal. I liked throwing the test flight one. I think's the one we had. It was in like that Z metallic plastic. I liked throwing that one. So I grabbed a Tour Series one to kind of mess around with because I recently just fell in love with the EMAC Judge. We did it for our point and shoot box. So if you got that in, then you saw it as a point and shoot stamped Lucid EMAC Judge. I've been throwing that thing all over the place. I absolutely love that disc. So I just put that in the bag, and it's made me like start to like premium plastic putters a little bit more. So I grabbed a Kratos to just kind of see if it would complement the EMAC Judge well. We'll see. Yeah, we might have to do that on social. A lot of people are saying they want to see me make an elevation disc skip, baseline versus premium skip test would be a good idea. We might have to do that. Maybe that'd be a good social post of just seeing how different plastics skip. Favorite 2024 Discraft Tour Series mold. The ones that looked the best were the Buzz and the Zone. They looked, I mean, every one of them was crazy. The one that I got most excited about feeling was the probably the Venom. The one that I'm going to throw the most will definitely be the Passion. So I grabbed a Venom, a Passion, and a Kratos. I think I'll definitely throw the Passion the most, but the Venom I think the Venom is the one that felt the best to me. But yeah, so Disc Golf with Six said, sure idea for the opening event. I beat the Bogey Bros, but lost on technicality. First off, why are you assuming they would win? We've never lost. But actually, right now for Bogey Bro battles, we're in retirement. If we ever come out of retirement, we've got some ideas. That's all I'm gonna say right now because I don't want to spoil anything. But if we ever came out of retirement, it would be bigger and better than ever. And maybe some merch slash disc stamps would be a part of that. I don't know. Well, I do know, but I'm not gonna say it. But yeah. One thing I'm definitely someone earlier was asking me about what we're most excited about for the new space. Um, and I think that I think what it is because we're moving into the new space currently. Like we started yesterday, getting the U-Haul today, the brunt work of the media sides today and tomorrow, and then next week's the retail store side. The retail store side, I'm excited because we have more space. So we now know we've had 2 years to kind of test the idea of a retail store, and we now know what people want. So we're able to put it create a store experience for the customer that is catered to actually what they want instead of previously it was just what do we think people are going to want. Now that we've seen it for 2 years, we have a really good feel of like, for instance, we need more used disk storage. We have a overflowing amount of used disks, and it's kind of hard to go through because right now we have like 8 boxes on the top and like 8 boxes on the floor, all of used discs. So that's one of the big things. And like we were saying too, just people coming from out of town, we have a better idea, so we can customize the store customer experience. I'm excited about that store wise. The back side, the media side, I'm excited because we can now create a space that is built for what we actually use it for. That's what I'm most excited for. The company's grown, the company's matured, more roles have developed, shows have developed, and previously it just, you know, we just kind of had to keep adapting because it started with when we moved into the space, it was just Trevor and I. Then Connor came on part time. Then Connor went full time around the time Silas came on part time. And Silas was just a warehouse worker. And then, Silas became a media person and we hired more people. And so, like, the company in today's climate is completely different than where it was when we moved into the old space. And over that time, we just had to like make it work, which means it was a jumbled mess. We also we're just different people than we were when we moved into that place 4 years ago. So being able to create an office environment that actually fits where we're at now, both personality wise and company wise, that's what I'm really excited for because I think it's going to give us a lot more creative energy. We also know now kind of the needs of our working environment, so we can be able to be more productive, which is going to be super exciting. That'll allow us to just get more done and have more time to be creative to enhance the quality of everything we're putting out. So that's what I'm excited for, is just to have a space that is actually catered and set up for where we are at now as a company instead of one that we have like grown and outgrown. Um, but yeah, punishment, you can only bag elevation for a month. So I did only MVP for a month. People keep asking me like, "Oh, you got to bring that back," because people loved it. And but to me, what got me excited about it is there was a stigma around MVP, and I wanted to say either prove it right or wrong, and I didn't have anything one way or the other. I had no bias. Well, I had a bias against MVP, if anything, but it proved it wrong. MVP was phenomenal. I actually played some of my best disc golf during that month with only MVP. And so people have told me like you got to go a month only with another company, but like every other company out there currently is putting out very similar products. The only difference is the plastic. MVP was interesting because of the gyro. So I went full gyro. I didn't allow myself to have streamline. Um, and that's what made that video so intriguing and so interesting. The only two I've thought of that would match or get close to that level is elevation. That'd be fascinating. And fully baseline would be the other one. So going all baseline and just seeing how much discs actually beat up, because we play, 3 to 4 rounds a week for videos. Um, I think that would be a very intriguing one, I think, to do there. So not saying either of those are going to happen, but I've definitely thought about them. Because also back then I don't think we did the monthly matches, and it basically, as someone who's down 3-0 in the monthly matches, if I do either of those ideas, it would basically just be forfeiting a monthly match. So yeah. I thought about it though. I'm definitely thinking about it. What's the coffee this morning? This coffee's actually, it's just whatever was on drip at my brother's shop, Kinship. Not actually sure what it was this morning. I didn't ask. I just walked in and got a cup of drip. It's good though. It's good. Let's see. After the COVID boom, what percentage up would you say disc golf is growing? So this is a very interesting question. I was actually just talking to someone about this because we'll use my pen here. So disc golf prior to COVID was growing like, let's say, like 15% a year or so. Let's just call it this, right? Then we hit COVID here, 2020. And what happened was true growth and false growth happened during this. So the chart kind of went like this, right? So we were growing, growing, growing. Well, the true growth was probably somewhere in here, but this false growth was caused twofold. One, you had people with stimulus checks getting into a new sport that was cheap to get into and willing to buy a bunch of plastic. And two, you had the supply did not meet the demand at all because all the manufacturers were shut down, or pretty much all the manufacturers shut down. So what would happen is we would get a shipment in of Discraft Onyxes, right? And as a consumer and as a retailer, you didn't know when you were getting more Onyxes. We were ordering sometimes for the next 3 months at once because they were like, here's the production schedule. These shipments will arrive to you sometime over the next 3 months. And so the consumer and the retailers, we didn't know when we were going to see it again. So if you loved the Onyx and we got one in stock, right? And we would get maybe 200 Onyxes. Well, if that was your go-to disc, you better buy 3 of them right now because you don't know when you're going to see it again. So I think that's where you had a bunch of real growth. Like there's no doubt about it. You can ask anyone and you'll hear people who got in disc golf and COVID. So there was definitely a lot of real growth. But then somewhere up here was false growth from people, as Shay just called it, panic buying, where again, you just didn't know when you were going to see these discs again. So the supply just didn't meet the demand. And then some of the people who got into disc golf went back to normal life, didn't didn't follow disc golf, but a lot of the recession we saw with disc golf, a lot of the downward slope we saw was that fake growth. So it peaked, probably late 2021. If I had to guess, probably is when the peak was, maybe early 2022, somewhere in there though, it peaked and then it started to come down. And, that's where you saw a lot of companies struggle. We weren't immune to that by any means. The only thing that I think we did right was we didn't act like this was going to be the new normal. We guessed that maybe here would be the new normal and probably here was actually the new normal. So we grew, instead of growing at this rate, we grew probably at like this rate over that COVID period. So we overgrew slightly, but it was manageable. It wasn't a nightmare scenario by any means. Whereas some companies, I think, got themselves into a nightmare scenario where just a lot of inventory on the shelf, a lot of people on payroll you couldn't pay anymore. And so that is kind of what we just witnessed in 2022, early 2023 was the rebalancing of disc golf, where yes, there were some people that got out of the sport that got in during COVID, but a lot of it was the people who were buying a bunch because also your buying habits as a brand new player into the sport are completely different from your buying habits as a person 2 years into the sport. Because if you're someone 2 years into the sport, you probably already have a bag of like 20 some discs. You get excited when a new mold comes out or something you want to try, but you're not someone who's just getting into the sport. And like there's people who got into the sport during COVID and they have shelves bigger than this behind them. That was all bought in like 2020, 2021, early 2022. That's not being bought anymore. So that was kind of the slow part where it came down and then it stabilized in probably 2023 was the stabilization. And now we're back on that typical growth we were seeing before. UDisc data backs this up. Your course is will back it up. Um, people that what scares people is they see the tournaments aren't filling up as much because it went from low amount of tournaments, low amount of tournament demand. Okay. Then it went to crazy high tournament demand, low amount of tournaments to where if you're a tournament director in local area, you were filling them in like 5 minutes. Like it was no problem. You could run a tournament every weekend if you wanted. So what that did is people saw that, increase the amount of tournaments, and then again, as you get into disc golf more, some people fall out. Like I played the most tournaments when I was first getting into disc golf. I'm not, but I don't think I'm the average person, but I think there's a lot of people like me who you get into disc golf, you get really excited, you play a bunch of tournaments, life gets busy, slows down. I still love disc golf. I still play it all the time. Obviously, I do it for my job, but now I'm not as good as I once was, so I'm not going and playing tournaments as much. So the amount of tournaments went up, the amount of tournament players came down slightly to where we were back at where we are, where we're at a higher level. The amount of tournaments being played, the amount of tournament rounds being played is higher than where it was, but it's being met again. So a lot of it is like the supply caught up with the demand, which is meaning tournaments aren't filling as fast. But like if you look at our local area, for instance, when pre-COVID, the tournaments I remember is there was the Brawl series had the big finale in March. That was a really well attended tournament. There was one tournament, I forget what it was called back then, but it was around, it might have been Big Branch. I think actually it was the same course. Had a tournament around April, May, somewhere in that range. The Commonwealth Games was in like July. I ran a tournament in uh, June to October. The Battle for Bedford was somewhere in there. And then there was the Elk Creek Classic in September. That was the Lynchburg Bedford tournaments. That was it. There was like four, right? Now, if you go on, you have legitimately probably like 2 to 3 a month. So in our local area alone, we went from 4 tournaments pre-COVID to early COVID to probably 20 tournaments in the same region post-COVID. And then people are saying, worried that disc golf is slowing or isn't growing because these tournaments aren't filling. But if you look at the amount of tournament rounds that are being played in the area, it's probably 3 to 4 times as many, maybe even more. So I think that's the really hard thing that people aren't fully wrapping their head around because if you got into disc golf in 2020, you only know that middle part. That was normal to you. If you were in disc golf before it, then you can see the same trend we used to see before is what's going on now, which is just your normal growth. So hopefully that answers the question because I think now we're back to 15, 20% a year. Very healthy, very sustainable growth. But it got people freaked out because of that big spike, big down. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of people freaked out there. All right, we're going to answer like one more question and then we're going to wrap it up so I can get some work done and then get moving. Literally moving. Duck and Discs says, you got to be careful saying that one, huh? Do you have any advice for new people posting content who don't have a camera person? I feel like playing/film requires so much focus. I don't have a ton of advice. That's what we did when we started. It was Zach and I. I mean, it helped. We had 2 people. So like Zach would film me, I would film him. But I filmed videos just me. Trevor films all of his videos for his channel, just him. Robbie C still doesn't have a camera guy. He just films him when he's in town. We help him film, but you just kind of got to get out there and do it. Like if what I would say is we have built a brand on not playing great disc golf. So your personality is what'll bring people back. I wouldn't worry too much about like if you're getting distracted and you're playing bad disc golf, don't let that ruin your personality and spirit to where like that's coming through to the camera because then who wants to watch unless you have multiple people. Like I get down in the dumps in videos, but if I'm getting down in the dumps, it's probably because Trevor's ecstatic because he's beating me up. So you have that dynamic. But if I'm just going out and filming by myself and I'm playing a bad round and I get all sad boy and that's the only vibe of the video, why would someone want to watch that? So you have to think through that of you're making a piece of content. You're not out there to play your best golf. You're not out there to be on the pro tour unless you're making a vlog of like me going on the pro tour. Um, so keep that in mind and make content first. Disc golf, worry about like your quality of disc golf play second, and just focus on that. Because yeah, I think if you focus more on the piece of content you're making and less on the playing, to be honest with you, you'll probably play better anyways. That's how I am. All right, I think that's going to wrap it up there. Answered that one question so long that I'm just kind of behind on all of it, but yeah, Shay said we had 4 new tournament directors slash event companies form, and 3 have folded now. Yeah, again, I think it just people grew to what they expected the new norm to be, and then when the new norm wasn't that, it sucks. It sucks. A lot of retail stores closed. A lot of companies, as far as like tournament directors, had to go back to normal jobs. Jomez got absorbed. I mean, we've seen a lot of media companies are struggling. It sucks, but it's the game. It's just part of it. The economy goes up, economy goes down, and you gotta either adapt or die. Unfortunately, it's just kind of the name of the game. So that's gonna wrap it up. Hopefully you enjoyed. Glad I was able to do it this week. Again, stay tuned for some behind the content on the YouTube channel, my YouTube channel, of the move. And also if you want kind of real time behind the scenes content, pay attention over on patreon.com/foundation disc golf. And next week we'll be back with another coffee break, updating you on kind of how the move just went. And then on what our plans are, because that'll be the week of the grand opening. So we'll have kind of more information and all that stuff. But hopefully y'all enjoyed. I'll talk to you again next week. Appreciate you all tuning in.